Hello everyone, this is the CircuitPython weekly meeting for March 30th, 2026. It's the time of the week where we get together to talk about all things CircuitPython. I'm Scott and I'm sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a version of Python designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. CircuitPython development is primarily sponsored by Adafruit, so if you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from adafruit.com. This meeting is hosted on the Adafruit Discord server. You can join anytime by going to the URL adafru.it/discord. We hold a meeting in the CircuitPython-dev text channel and the CircuitPython voice channel. It typically happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, except when it coincides with the US holiday. In the notes doc, there's a link to a calendar you can view online or add to your favorite calendar app. We also send notifications about upcoming meetings via Discord. If you would like to receive these notifications, ask us to add you to the @CircuitPythonistas Discord role. There's a shared notes document that accompanies the meeting and the recording. You can contribute to this document beforehand. The final notes doc includes timestamps to go along with the video, so you can use the doc to skip around and view the parts of the video that interest you most. The meeting tends to run 30 to 60 minutes. After each meeting, we post a link to the next meeting's notes document to the CircuitPython dev channel on the Adafruit Discord. Check the pinned messages to find the latest notes doc so you can add your notes to the following meeting. If you wish to participate but cannot attend, you can leave hug reports and status updates in the document for us to read during the meeting. The meeting is held in 5 parts. The first is community news. This is a look at all things CircuitPython and Python on hardware in the community. It's a chosen set of items for from our Python on Microcontrollers newsletter. The second part is the state of CircuitPython libraries in Blinka. This is a quantitative overview of the entire project. It's a chance to look at the project by the numbers, separate from our status updates. The third is Hug Reports. Hug Reports is an opportunity to highlight the good things folks are doing, taking the time to recognize the awesome folks in our community. The fourth part is Status Updates. Status Updates is an opportunity to report on what we've been up to. Take a couple of minutes and talk about what you've been doing in the last week since the last meeting and what you'll be up to over the next week. The fifth part is In the Weeds. In the Weeds is an opportunity for more long-form discussions. These discussions can come out of status updates or be something you've identified ahead of time as too long for status updates. And that covers how the meeting will go. With that, we'll get to community news, and I'll take the first timestamp. So lots in the community news. This is highlights from our Python on Microcontrollers newsletter. First up, we have the 2026 Python Developers Survey. The 9th iteration of the official Python Developers Survey is out. Its goal is to show how the world of Python development looks today and how it compares to last year. It's rather important, especially for showing Python use in microcontroller and single-board computers. Use the select embedded development, and you can go to jetbrains.com, and there's a link to the Blue Sky as well. In Espressif news, the Espressif ESP IDF version 6.0 has been released. It adds stable support for the ESP32C5 and the C61, and a preview support for the H21 and the H4 low-power wireless microcontrollers. The P4 microcontroller revision 3.0 gains a new power rail and requires a PCB and firmware changes as well, so that's another Espressif note. There's a cool stuff that makes a difference. A new article on Associate Professor John Gallagher and his students at Boston College focusing on their work with assistive technology, which includes using CircuitPython. Tech for Good is open to students from across the university with no prerequisites. Last fall's cohort included several graduate students from the Lynch School, an MBA student, and undergraduates majoring in computer science, marketing, and human-centered design engineering. Every week, they gathered in the prototyping studio at the Hatchery, Boston College's state-of-the-art makerspace. For many, it was their first time writing code or even hearing the word accelerometer, which is a device that measures movement. Okay, next up. Just covering, a popular Python library became a backdoor to malware. The Lite LLM package is one of the most popular Python libraries for interacting with large language models, known as LLMs. Offering a single unified interface to forward requests to OpenAI, compatible endpoints, Anthropic, Google, and dozens of other providers through a single wrapper. It has over 40,000 stars in GitHub, and it's an important dependency in a lot of AI tooling. It's also been compromised on PyPI, which is the package index, and the malicious versions are stealing everything they can find on your machine. On March 24th, 2026, version 8.8 or 1.82.8 of LiteLLM was pushed to PyPI containing a malicious .pth file called LiteLLM init.pth. That file executes automatically on every Python process startup, meaning you don't even need to import the library for it to run. What's more, version 1.82.7 has also been compromised. So check that out, and there's lots of thoughts and things about how to make that not happen in the future. Okay, but heads up if you use that or think you might use it. A new port of MicroPython to the Amiga. It's been 18 months since last reporting on an Amiga OS port of MicroPython. Fabrice has a new port of MicroPython 1.27 for the Motorola 68,020 plus processors. It runs on classic Amiga hardware, the A1200, A3000, A4000, and emulators including WinUAE and FS-UAE. And last step before we cover the newsletter, the Spoke board gains a new IDE and distributor. The Spoke CircuitPython multifunction board now has a new web-based development environment. After a successful Kickstarter, it's been being manufactured in the UK and will be available from Pimoroni in coming weeks. And that's it. Take one more time code. The Python on Microcontrollers weekly newsletter is a CircuitPython community-run newsletter emailed every Monday. The complete archives are available at the URL adafruitdaily.com/category/CircuitPython. It highlights the latest Python on hardware-related news from around the web, including CircuitPython, Python, and MicroPython developments. To contribute your own news or project, email cpnews@adafruit.com, and we appreciate all of the contributions. Okay, that's community news. Next up, let's go to the state of CircuitPython libraries in Blinka. This is a statistical overview of the health of CircuitPython and kind of like its big subprojects. This is a chance to think kind of like numerically before we get later and talk more subjectively. Overall, brain. Overall, in CircuitPython land, we had 18 pull requests merged from 8 different authors. They all seem to be kind of regular folks, so thank you to everybody there. We had 5 reviewers, thanks to them as well. We're always looking for more authors and reviewers, so if you're interested in contributing to CircuitPython in its many forms, feel free to jump on the Discord, and we're happy to help you out and give guidance. Issues-wise, overall, we had 4 closed issues by 4 people and 5 open by 5 people. So net up 1 and a number of people involved. So next up, let's look into the numbers for the core. So in the core, we had 2 pull requests merged, 2 authors, although one was Weblate, which is a bot, and then 1 reviewer, Dan. We have 24 open pull requests, so we're 1 under our goal of being under 25. Which is a single-page listing on GitHub. Issues-wise, we had 2 closed issues by 2 people and 4 open by 4 people, so we're up 2 for a total of 853 open issues. We track Adafruit prioritization based on the milestone system. We currently have 8 active milestones, and we have 3 open issues on 10.1.x, which is kind of like the latest stable release. If I remember right, and then 10.2 has 1 open issue as well. So not too many critical open issues. We do, as of the time of these numbers, have 3 issues not assigned to milestones, so we just want to do a double check on our triaging in that regard. And with that, let's ask Tim to cover the numbers for the libraries.
All right, thanks, Scott. This section covers all the CircuitPython libraries, which are all hosted on GitHub under names like Adafruit _CircuitPython _, and then the name of whatever library it may be. We do have them split up into two main bundles. The Adafruit library bundle has 392 libraries in it currently, and the community library bundle is up to 177 libraries right now for a total of 569 altogether libraries that support CircuitPython devices. Over the past week in the Adafruit bundle, we had 14 pull requests merged by 6 different authors, thanks to Relic SC, Paul Cutler, Liz, Tektrick, Mikey Sklar, and myself. We had 3 reviewers. Thanks again to Tektrick and Liz for doing some reviews this week. All of the pull requests that were merged this week were basically brand new, 1 day old only, so didn't hit any of the older stuff this week, but kept on top of the newer ones. And that leaves us at the end of the week with 35 pull requests open across the Adafruit libraries. The oldest one of those is a draft that is up to 1,320 days. And the newest one right now, or at least at the time of these stats, was reported as 10 days old. Issues-wise, we had 1 issue closed by 1 person, 1 new issue opened up by a person, and that leaves us with 772 open issues across all of those Adafruit bundle libraries. And there are 2 of those that are labeled as good first issues, and you can find those listed normally at the website circuitpython.org/contributing. I will note while we're here, though, there was an issue with the GitHub action that generates these pages, so these pages are blank currently and have been blank for a few days, but we did notice that and are looking into that. Should be fixed within the next couple of days, I think, to get these pages generating correctly. But what you will normally find on that page, again, circuitpython.org/contributing, is a list of open PRs, which is the place where we tend to point folks who want to get involved but don't have a specific thing they want to work on. Reviewing PRs is kind of one of the first things we point people to. So when you look at that page, you can scroll through, find a list of links over to GitHub of open PRs, and you can click through to there, get to the GitHub page, and then review the PR. And that really just entails looking over the code for spelling, syntax, logic, anything like that. If you have the hardware, you can actually go ahead and test out that PR by running it on a CircuitPython device with whatever piece of hardware it needs. And what you can do is just leave a comment there on GitHub letting us know what you found when you looked over the code. If you were able to run it, let us know how that went. In that case, also leave information about like what what version of CircuitPython you used, what device you used. That sort of technical information is very helpful. Once you get comfortable with that process, if you would like to join the sort of official review team we have over on GitHub, we can add you to that. If you would like to start submitting some PRs of your own, you can also kind of get started on that from the same website, circuitpython.org/contributing. If you click over to the issues link in the navigation, you get a similar looking list of links to GitHub, but these ones are representing issues. They don't have a proposed change that has been submitted already. They're waiting for a person who wants to come along and actually work on whatever that change is. It could be fixing a bug or adding a new feature, enhancement, maybe a new example, something like that. So again, you can kind of like look through that list, find something that catches your eye, click through to GitHub, read about what the issue is in that case, and then you can submit your own PR to try to resolve that issue. We do have a Learn Guide for contributing to CircuitPython using Git and GitHub. We also have folks who are more than happy to help you out here on the Discord. So if you are trying to get spun up reviewing or submitting your own PRs, if you're having trouble with the version control or the actions or any of the other things, just come say hi on Discord. Let us know what you're up to, what kind of issue you're having. We would be happy to help you out. We want everyone to be able to contribute in whatever ways work best for them. And then I will leave you this week with the library updates for the last 7 days. A couple new libraries to be on the lookout for. VCNL 4030 and TMAG 5273 are some new Adafruit breakout libraries. And then over in the community bundle, there is Nitro class, which is like a CPython data class sort of library for CircuitPython. And then there's also Bamboo Labs was added this week for interfacing with the Bamboo Labs printers, which is super cool. So check those out. And that is what we have for libraries. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, next up, I will read the stats for Blinka. So Blinka is kind of like the third big piece of this puzzle. It provides the CircuitPython hardware APIs to on non-CircuitPython platforms. For example, MicroPython and CPython on Linux on Linux running on single board computers. In Blinka land, we had 2 pull requests merged from one author, Tektrick. Reviewer was Maker Melissa. There are 19 open pull requests across a variety of different repos. There was 1 closed issue by 1 person and no issues opened, for a total of 146 open issues remaining. The number of supported boards is 166. So that's the Blinka update. Okay, next up is Hug Reports. This is a chance for us to say thank you to folks for the work that they've been doing within our community. It's both nice to recognize folks, and it's also good to reinforce kind of the things that we value. So first, I will go, and then we'll go through a list of the folks in the notes document. I should say that if you're unable to make the meeting, you're still welcome to participate in this and the following round robin by adding your name and your notes to the notes document, and then I will read them off. So I will start, and then we'll go through the list on the notes doc. First, I had 2 Hug reports. One is to ToddBot for adding more synthy stuff to CircuitPython. They're working to add the MCP DAC playback support and also a speed changer class. That's very cool, and I'm happy to see synth be so popular in CircuitPython land. And then a second hug from me to Tektrick for setting up Zephyr's native sim memory tracking in a GitHub action so that we can start to track library sizes over time using the Zephyr native sim binary. Next up, let's hear from Dan.
I'd like to thank Timeline and the forums, who often helps many people who don't get an immediate answer from our official supporters, and also Marshall in Discord, who's also answering people promptly and engaging with them in support. They're both been helping a lot of people. So thanks very much. It's an ongoing thing. That's it.
Thank you, Dan. Next up, let's hear from Foamy Guy.
All right, I have Hug Reports thanks to Paul Cutler for hosting a Fruit Jam discussion between Cooper, Dan Cogliano, and myself, as well as for cutting it together into an upcoming episode of the CircuitPython Show podcast. And one more for Paul as well for publishing a library over in the community bundle. And I also have Hug Report for Tektrick this week for preparing some patches for infrastructure stuff and also for doing various PR reviews around the libraries. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Foamy Guy. Last up is notes from Paul Cutler, who says, hugs to Toddbot, Gambler, and Foamy Guy for help answering my questions as I worked on my first library for the community bundle, and a hug report to Foamy Guy for quickly publishing my PR to the community bundle. That was fast. All right, that's hug reports. Next up is status updates. It runs very similar to Hug Reports, except this is a chance to talk about what you've been working on in the past week and plan on working on in the coming week. It's a great way to get an idea of what everybody's up to and also share ideas or collaborate if things are overlapping or something you've done before. So I will start and then we'll go through the list again. For me, take a time code. I was out most of last week on a birthday trip for my eldest. Right before that, Dan merged in Zephyr Display I/O support, so that's now in the Zephyr port of CircuitPython. I've built I2S support, or moved I2S support back onto that, and added simulator support for I2S, so that is something I need to circle back to now that Display I/O is in. I have some fixes for Flash that are in my larger change to get a UF2 bootloader going on Zephyr. But the Flash fixes, along with a fix for the Feather NRF 52840 to make the UF2 actually work, are more important, so I need to split those out. And I think that my Beely GAT work was also blocked by that. So I need that's my top priority for today, is to try to get those fixes split out so I can get them in quickly. The ESP IDF, like I covered before, is IDF6 is out, and instead of just putting it on the pile, I thought I'd see how well Claude could do updating CircuitPython to IDF6. It seems to be going pretty well, This morning, Claude updated the ESP camera library. And there's a couple builds that are too big, but besides that, it looks to be compiling. The next step is to test it on device and make sure that it doesn't just crash, which just also begs the question of like, how are we going to get hardware in the loop testing going more reliably this year? But that's another thing. This is all low priority stuff here. But I also sketched out a native awaitable object so that we can start to have async IO compatible native interfaces. The basic way it works is that it has a start, it calls start and end C functions, and the start, there's a flag that's passed into start that can be set when it's done, and then end will be called. There's a third function, kind of suffix for cancel. It's basically called in to see if the task is not done but needs to be canceled, then cancel can be called. And the flag itself is a macro so that it can change based on like whether there's a real-time operating system or not. For example, FreeRTOS on ESP-IDF or Zephyr RTOS. And last up, I also got my Mac Mini running and updated. I want to try this OpenClaw stuff, but I do want to try to isolate it on my network. So I bought a new Ubiquity router to help me set up that, and also to provide some Wi-Fi access points that test devices can talk to that are not on the same network as my main computer. So I'm working on, I want to do that, and I want to do the hardware in the loop stuff some more too. But not this week because that's just plenty. So let's go to Dan and see what Dan's up to.
I'm working on the merging MicroPython version 1.27 into CircuitPython. So that involves an initial merge, and then I have to resolve the merge conflicts. And then there are a lot of automatic merges that happened, and so that part really needs to be looked over too. So I finished proofreading those yesterday, and the next step is to actually do builds and run the tests and get it to make sure that it works. So that's what I'm mainly working on.
Is there an MPY version change with that?
No.
Okay.
So which is good.
Yeah.
And also we're going directly from 125 to 127. So we're gonna have to do this twice. And there's not as much churn in this release. It looks like there aren't some absolutely major changes that are causing headaches. It's just bug fixes and improvements mostly.
All right. Thank you,
Good.
Dan. Yeah, totally. And thanks to the MicroPython folks who continue to improve things. Okay, let's go to Foamy Guy.
All right. I have been working on this sort of Raspberry Pi network bridge, network sharing project for the last couple of days of last week and a little bit this morning, this week. This is something that's meant to kind of be timely with the sort of new sweeping announcement that the FCC made about wireless routers. So just trying to document how to turn a Raspberry Pi into a sort of makeshift router, not top end, not super fast speeds, not for pro gaming or anything crazy, but you can share your network from an Ethernet plug over the Wi-Fi on an access point, or if you have a Wi-Fi little USB dongle, you can actually share one Wi-Fi network into a Wi-Fi access point, creating another network. So just a way to set up a little network with a Raspberry Pi, and then as a sort of bonus add-on after the fact, I'll document as well how to set up like Wireshark for capturing the traffic on that network if you want to analyze like IoT devices or other client devices that are on that network. So that's kind of the main thing I've been working on. A few other things that I've done though. Last week I ran a couple of library patches from Adabot patches that go through and update various things across all the libraries in the bundle, and did a release sweep for those. Thanks again to Tektrick for helping set that stuff up. I have been doing some testing on the APDS 9999 breakout, which is a proximity and light sensor from a couple of weeks ago, and the driver got finished and was working and doing the most basic stuff. successfully, but I was testing it for something sort of unrelated for one of the other drivers, and started running into some flakiness with the interrupt. So I went back and tested that a bunch. Figured out that there is maybe an issue. There's definitely some weirdness in the driver where, depending on how you have it configured, it will change whether the interrupt on the pin fires and stuff like that. So I figured out some of that stuff, but the main thing that I'm going to do for that library specifically is go back and write the hardware tests. This one was essentially the last one I did before I had the whole test rig set up, that can kind of automatically go through and validate everything. So I'll write those tests, and then we'll be able to validate that driver as well, like the ones that came after it. And then the last thing I have is over the weekend, I built this little Easter egg hunt maze game. It's actually kind of adapted from the game that I made during the game jam on CircuitPython Day last year. So I took that one. It was a Halloween game at the time, but I have got some new tiles for it, kind of reskinned it into an Easter game. And you can hunt for some colorful eggs, and then you can save the eggs that you find if you want, and those get saved into a file on CP saves. So it persists across reboots and stuff, and you can go back and look at your collection of colorful eggs. So fairly basic, but a nice little sort of demo Easter holiday themed game. And I'll work on a quick guide, hopefully get that out this week before Easter on that one. And that's what I'm up to. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Foamy Guy. Okay, last up, we've got notes from Paul Cutler, who says, published my first CircuitPython library. It's for Bamboo Labs. It connects to a Bamboo Labs 3D printer via MQTT, handles the MQTT setup for the user, and parses the JSON response in easy-to-read methods. I blogged about it and my experience creating a library. And that's it for status updates. Thank you to everyone for there. Last up, we have our last section is called In the Weeds. This is a chance for any longer form discussion that folks have identified either before the meeting and put in the notes doc, or you want to talk about afterwards. I just realized that I wanted to talk about something, so I added one entry here. As you all know, I've been working on getting Zephyr, CircuitPython building on top of Zephyr, and I'd just like to hear, I don't think anybody's tried it. And I would just like to hear kind of like what I could do for people to try it. I have a build for the NRF 52840 Feather, but I don't think anybody's tried that. And I was thinking about doing Pico builds as well, or like RB2350 builds, so that like people could have an easy way to try on hardware that they've already got. Anybody interested in this and have a suggestion?
Yeah, I will mention a couple, and you hit some of them there before I could ask what I was going to definitely say. What's the list of hardware that it works on? Because I'm not sure. I know you've done a lot of work on some of the brand newer stuff, and I don't have any of those. But 52840 is good to know. That should work on like Feather Sense and stuff as well. Is that right? Or
it's not specifically for the Feather Sense, but it's easy enough to add it. So if you're interested in the Feather Sense, I could I could make a list.
Okay. That is one that I have that I could test on. I don't think I have the. I don't think I have the just the bare feather without the extra sensor stuffs on that one. So yeah, the devices. And then the other thing I was going to ask about was the process to load it. I know you talked about doing the UF2 loading, so I think that's not how it loads currently. But if there's like documentation or anything, just where to look to know how to load that if it's not the normal,
right?
If it's not the normal process. But I'm definitely excited to try it out. I know you just got Display IO in, which is where I'm always super interested in playing with that stuff. So
right, yeah, yeah. Right now, the loading basically builds on top of Zephyr. So Zephyr has a West tool, and it has a flash command. So like all the different vendors can have different ways of loading stuff, and if you just do West flash, it will flash to the board however it's supposed to.
okay.
But then you have to have West installed. So that's why I've been looking at the MCU boot UF2 thing, whereas like if I can make CircuitPython.org do what West Flash does and get a UF2 on there, and then you're off to the races. because I have been targeting mostly like vendor development kits, not Adafruit stuff. But if I'll take suggestions basically, and we can make board definitions that have the underscore Zephyr suffix, so that like if people want to try both, they can. That's why I was suggesting like maybe the Picos would be a good thing too. But we could basically do anything that has like a bootloader, a UF2 bootloader on it already as well. Okay, Carter +1's Pico build. And I think the Pico W, like the Wi-Fi part, is actually supported in Zephyr as well. So we could, in theory, I haven't finished Wi-Fi support, but it shouldn't be too far away if we wanted to actually support that as well. And it's like the Zephyr is built on top of Pico SDK still. All right. Yeah, I will try to have some more overlap with like stuff we already support, because that means we have good bootloader support. The RP2s are generally a good target since they have native UF2 support. Whatever version and flavor makes sense. All right. Yeah, I think maybe pin muxing is going to be a challenge because it's all fixed pins still. So for example, like display IO works on fixed Zephyr displays, so like boards that have displays on them, and Zephyr supports them as displays. Display IO also works on fixed SPI buses, but you can't just do like you can't just like put it on any random pins yet. So. And I think I2S is potentially really tempting too, because the scheduling will be better for filling in the I2S packets. All right. And if there's any boards that you have that are not currently supported by CircuitPython, those are also potentially really interesting, because Zephyr might have better support than what we have through any other port. One that's on my mind is like the Daisy Electrosmith Daisy Seed, which all the ST chips are well supported in Zephyr and not that well supported in CircuitPython. Okay. Feel free to reach out to me if you're listening to this after the fact. Looking for folks to try it. And let's wrap up. Thank you. This has been another CircuitPython weekly meeting for March 30th, 2026. Thank you to everybody who participated. If you want to support Adafruit in CircuitPython, and those of us that work on CircuitPython, consider purchasing for the Adafruit shop at adafruit.com. The video of this meeting will be released on YouTube at youtube.com/Adafruit, and the podcast will be available everywhere you can find a podcast. It will also be featured in the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter next week. You can go to adafruitdaily.com to subscribe. And the next meeting, I am looks to be at the regular time. It will be 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Adafruit Discord server, which you can join by going to the URL adafru.it/discord. If you want to be notified about the meeting and any changes to the time or day, you can ask to be added to the @CircuitPythonistas Discord role. And with that, thanks to everybody. We hope to see you all next week. Have a good week.